Hello, welcome back to Aether. This is Satomi and Paul from sakaso.ca. Today we are talking about using a Rumi's quote, Rumi, right?
Yes.
Rumi? Yeah. The wound is the place where the light enters you. This is very, very powerful and it's so true, right? And everybody get hurt, like all of us here and there, sometimes little one, sometimes big one, and sometimes it turn into trauma, right? And it follows you for many years. And yeah, but every one of us have some kind of wound, right? And then the Rumi said, that's where the light comes in. And I totally agree,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It sounds weird though, doesn't it? Right. So like, what does that mean? The wound is where the light comes in, right? It's you have to think about it for a second.
Like wounds, that's where the pain comes,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I don't want it, right?
Yeah.
I don't want.
Nobody wants that.
Yeah, I don't want to just that to disappear, and I don't want to look at it. I don't want to feel it, and I want to just shut it, right? And so I don't have to feel it. I don't have to deal with it. Those kind of things. That's what we feel, and we want to do it. But no, it's actually opposite in a way, right? But,
yeah, absolutely, right. We all none of us wants to have anything other than things go our way. Things be nice and smooth and nice, easy life, right? I wish. Everybody does, but life does things its own way. It's differently, and you know, when we're kids, right? Those things are small, right? You fall down and you scrape your knee, right? And so, what do you do from that, right? You even when you're a little kid, you have the sense to think about that for a second. So what do I do to adjust so that I don't trip and fall the next time, right? Like pay attention a little more closely to where I put my feet, right?
Yeah, they don't think and analyze. They just do it naturally,
do it. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They just sometimes they cry away, but next moment they just getting up and walking. They wouldn't be like, no, I'm not gonna walk anymore.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
They don't do that, right? Because that's how the human learn and they know it. But when we get older and older, then all those things attack us, and then okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
And I don't want to touch anymore.
Well, that's partly because the stakes are higher when you're older, right? When you're young, you scrape your knee. That's not fun. But when it's older, right? You know, maybe you get ripped off when buying a car, right? That sucks. Or maybe it's a relationship that goes bad or something, right? That sucks.
Yeah, because you invest so much.
Yeah, you invest your heart, your soul into that, right? You know, maybe you're married and you have kids or something, right? That's pretty painful stuff, very serious. And then that gets wrapped up into a financial big thing too, right? So those are traumatic events that we can go through.
Yeah.
And the Rumi's quote, the thing that's funny about it is it applies to all of them, right? It doesn't matter. No, nobody wants those problems, right? Nobody signs up. I never would, right? I would never sign up for that kind of
If
stuff.
you have a choice, right?
Yeah,
to have a happy, no
smooth
problem
sailing
life, or lots of problems and pain and suffering, and then who would choose that way? If the end is the same, right?
If the end is there's the trick though, right? As Shakespeare says, therein lies the rub, right? That's the trick behind, right?
Yeah.
So actually, no, the endpoints are not the same, right? If you have the smooth sailing life, no challenges ever, you don't develop the same kind of character, right? You don't become the person. The way I would say it, you don't become the person that you would respect. You know, you don't respect yourself as much as you do as if you've been through things and you got through them and you came out on top in the end, right? So that coming out on top, that can be a challenge. It can be hard, but there are ways to do it. So, yeah, I mean, it, it's just that's a fundamental aspect of being human, right? We all go through this.
Yeah, it's just like I said before, kids, like little toddlers, right? And they do it naturally. They don't think, right? Oh, I fell down again. This is my 10th times today. That means I cannot do this thing, right? Maybe I'm not able to do it. That kind of thing. They don't think. We didn't think. That's why we were able to walk, right? And then talking too. We just kids not being able to talk smoothly, and then not so many words, right? But they sometimes they get frustrated, of course, because they cannot communicate. But that doesn't mean that they're going to give up. No, they never give up, right? And but when we get older, it's just it becomes the issue, like not doing it for first try, not getting it. Okay, maybe one more time. Second time, not getting it, and then you get discouraged. Third time, oh, no, this is not for me, right? We weren't like that before, right? But we forget, and then you get hurt, you get disappointed, and then you made mistakes, and somebody says something to you, and that can become the wound, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, no, I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna touch it. It's too painful. But actually, that's where you want to face it, because that's where the learning, right?
Well, let's slow this down a little bit.
Okay.
We'll get there. We'll get there in a second. I wanted to break it down for people because a little bit. So the thing is that when we're overcoming that illness, right? We're going past the loss of a relationship, or we learn to thrive in our situation, no matter what the circumstances. We become something more than we were before, right? That, like we're saying, adversity is the hammer and anvil of our making, really, right? So the question is how? How does that happen? Well, I mean, when we grow up, we arrive at some version of who we are, right? Whatever that is. When we're in our early 20s or something like that, right? We're a certain person. As we continue through our life, we're not the same person, right? And so, but that's a version of ourselves. And at that time, as it is at all different times, we feel that's who we are, right? We always feel that's me, that's who I am, right? Is it, right? Is it really, or is it just a version of you, right? And we unless we're challenged, right, we're going to stay right there, right? We're going to stay in that place. And because we consider it to be normal, it's all we know how to be, right? Just that one way. But is that all? No. Life says otherwise, right? Life always throws us another curveball, another challenge, and it can be very hard. And this is the part of the story where we get wounded, right? But we can stop there. And you mentioned this, like we can stop there and treat it strictly as a wound, right? Something that we do not want. We keep pushing it away, right? I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't want it. That person is just a bad person, right? We push away all that, the pain in the situation, and not step into it because it is painful. It is hard. We don't want it. Well, that's where this lesson comes in, because I mean, it'd be perfectly normal to take it that way. I did not want the situation I went in, right? I mean, when I got very ill at one point, right? So I'd had these weird health issues. The doctors were not really helpful, and it has to do with the way I was living my life. It has to do with the stress, the anxiety, all that stuff that I was going through. It was hard on me just psychologically, but it's hard on me physically, right? Because that translates into a physical side. You know, stress is the underlying reason for 95 or 98%, depending on what you read, of all diseases, right? So I was living in a very stressful way, but I didn't know how to break out of it. I would try and try and try, and it had to do with past trauma and stuff like that, subconscious programs and beliefs that I had locked in my subconscious mind. And I was living that way, responding to things going on in my life as stress, right? I mean, anything coming along, any little bump in the road, I was like, oh, right, this is scary. Hold on. That's the only way I knew how to be at that time.
And in a way, you were staying away from the wound. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, I've been there. I know what it's gonna be like
Yeah.
if I stay this way. So I'm gonna stay away, right? And I'm gonna keep doing this, kind of thing.
Like when it's trauma and it was PTSD, so it becomes a subconscious, automatic, super fast thing that happens. It's very tricky to get in between there, but it can be done. There are ways to do it. But when you use typical techniques, it's not really, it's questionable whether that's even possible. It just by using your willpower, it doesn't really work because you're just automatically there in the trauma, just like that. A little trigger and you're back in the trauma. And that's what it was like for me. So I would push it away. I wouldn't want to, it would just be stressful and hard, right? And so I ended up getting very sick. There was a variety of different physical illnesses. And the worst one was this mysterious one that the doctors didn't have any answer for. And I was going downhill really fast. I had to stop working. I had to just, try to take care. You were taking care of me, right?
I had to quit my job.
Yeah, you had to quit your job too to take care of me because it was that bad, right? And we didn't know what was happening. We had nothing from the doctors, right? And so it was complete unknown, and I was going downhill fast, right? So we had a choice then. Either I could keep going the way I was going, and it was taking me, maybe out, right? Or we could go into it. And that's what you helped me do. You helped me do that with Sakuso. You helped me apply this healing technique that we use with our clients. And you went in, you helped me go into the wound instead of pushing it away, and you helped me release it. But by going in, that gives you the opportunity to really address what it is. And that can be a lot of things. For me, it was forgiveness. It was letting go of old pain that just very painful experiences that I had buried, right? Just buried. I was just carrying them around and I had no idea. And you helped me through that, let them go, connect to them, face them, and let them go, right? Honor them. And that's what you need to do, is to honor them, is to listen to them, right? So what is it? And that's what this is really all about, is to then listen to what that wound has to tell you, right? And that was my turning point. And I can continue from there, or maybe, I don't know if you wanted to share a story from your experience, or
just I was going to say something about your story, and I could, it was like a facing the wound, right? And it's not like you have to relive it, right? The moment, right? It's not that, but what you're doing is, instead of going, it's not going in and reliving and having the pain all over. That's not what we mean. It's just face it, and then find a way to to learn the message, find a way to receive the message, I guess, in a short way to describe. And there's always a message in every event, especially the painful one. It's usually a big message, right? So we want to actually listen to it, right? Like in my case, one of the big ones is empathic overwhelming. Oh my God, that was huge. And up to then, like I was pretty I was doing very well. I would say, like taking challenges and instead of, oh no, this is so bad, this is terrible, right? Instead of looking at that way, hey, I think this happened, and it's a good thing. Even like a car broke down, okay, maybe it saved my life, right? If it went kept going,
That actually did happen one time.
It did happen.
That happened to us.
It happened.
The blue car we had.
Yeah,
That
that was
car.
my car.
Yeah, that car.
It just quit.
It
All of a sudden it quit.
just quit.
It didn't start. Right? What's going on? And
Yeah.
I got that towed away, right? And went to a mechanic. And I don't really know anything about the car, but the mechanic showed like, Stormy, this could be very, very bad.
Yeah.
And he was showing me my tire. Something was broken. Just the tire is connecting to the thing.
It's
The thing.
So what keeps the tire aligned
Yeah.
and straight, the wheel, not just the tire, but
Not
the whole
tire,
wheel,
the wheel. Yeah.
keeps it aligned with the rest of the, where you want to steer.
Yeah.
I don't know the name of it
yeah.
either, but
Keeping the wheel attached to the whole body
Yeah.
and everything,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that was broken.
yeah,
And he said it could the whole tire, whole wheel could just roll away off any time, right?
yeah.
Really? Oh my God, I didn't know. So, oh my God, thank you very much
For the car braking. Thank you for the car braking.
Quitting all of a sudden,
Yeah,
right? And it saved our lives.
Yeah.
And so like
It was a front tire too. Like,
Was it?
Yeah,
I don't
it was one or
remember.
front wheel, the front wheel, and that's much worse than the back wheel.
Yeah, because it's the front wheel drive too.
Yeah, so it's much more severe accident kind of situation.
You cannot control,
Yeah,
right? But when I found out, I was so grateful. But before I found out, like the car getting towed, I was thinking maybe something that supposed to happen, right? And so this is not great, but it could be worse, right? That's how I always take.
Mhm.
And then there's something worse could happen, but this happens, so it just stayed this way, right? It's something. Always I was feeling that way and then thinking that way, but this going back to empathic overwhelming, that was like I couldn't even think and look that way. It's just too much and too painful, like painful emotionally, mentally painful. And like
Just so people if you haven't watched this or this program before or seen Satomi talk about this, just to give you an idea, I mean, me getting to know you, you're very, very warm and welcoming person. You want people to come over and dinner or whatever, right? All this kind of stuff. Very social, very, very warm and open person like that. But when that hit, you shut down completely. Like you not only did all that stuff go, but you simply could not even get up and do things. You were like, you there was nothing physically wrong with you, nothing at all, right?
No.
But you were clearly like you were just crying like crazy, You were,
so much pain.
yeah, yeah.
Like I had no idea why I was in so much pain. I didn't have anything happen to me. Right?
It just
Nothing.
happened out of the blue.
Yeah, just one day I woke up and I was in this dark space and I couldn't come out of it. And
That's really weird.
Yeah,
how that happened.
In the morning, right? I'm in dark and I'm in pain and I want to cry. And why? Like nothing happened. Nobody died and nothing happened. And I feel like I'm just want to cry. Oh my God. And then I thought maybe this feeling gonna disappear, right? And it happened before, like and then just wait it out and it goes away. No, this one then it's just getting worse and worse and worse, and what's going on?
Yeah, it got worse.
It just kept getting worse, and I didn't want to see anyone, even best friends. Like Paul was saying, I invite people to our house and have parties and stuff. No, I don't want to see anyone. I just don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to see anyone. It just completely changed, and I was in pain. I was having a hard time getting up in the morning. I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to face the day. Right? I got up anyway, but it just so painful. I was crying too while I'm getting up. I don't want to get up, right? But I did, and then it was really, really hard, and I felt like nobody understand what's going on. I didn't understand.
How would they understand?
Yeah,
right?
I didn't understand. I didn't know how to explain.
This
either.
is empath to the absolute max. Out of the blue, you weren't used to it. I mean, we knew you knew things, right? It was uncanny how you could tune into things at times, but like it's like a lot of people like say, "Oh yeah, I knew that was going to happen," right? Or something like that, right? That's pretty common.
That intuitive.
Yeah, having that intuitive inspiration, and you were really good at that. But this was 1,000 times, 10,000 times that, and it was crazy how just all of a sudden and it came on, and then you're feeling everybody else's pain from all over. How would anybody relate to that, right?
Yeah.
What would the doctor do? Nothing,
Yeah,
right?
like
He just say it's all in your head.
Yeah,
Get over
or here's
a
a
pill,
right?
Yeah.
So I knew that would happen, so I didn't go to the doctor, but I really didn't know how to deal with it, and it just I've been in pain every single day, and I just didn't know how to get out of it, and then so many times I wished my day end here right now, so I don't have to suffer anymore, kind of thing, right? And but I didn't choose it, and then somewhere in me there's something that I really didn't want to continue being this way, but there's something for me, the reason why
there was a reason why you're going to that.
There's a reason why I'm receiving this, right? And I didn't know what the reason is, and just I had really no idea, and the pain was way bigger than this intuitive message that there's something. But there's something. Can I have it right now and end this? Right? But I knew somewhere at deep side, I knew there was something, and I just with lots of people's help, of course, I kept going, and
well, yeah, we had Christine Marie to help us, right? She was a godsend. I made you go to her, and she's another intuitive empath. She knew exactly what was going on, and she was able to help Satomi
Yeah.
through that. And so that was the turning point, was to start working with it for you, right? Instead of pushing it away,
Yeah.
you decided that there was something in there for you to work with.
Like I wouldn't say I was pushing it away. I was right in the middle of the pain. I didn't know where to go. It doesn't matter where I go, I'm there, right? There's no way, like if I keep driving and driving and driving to somewhere, to end of the road, maybe or maybe not. Like I have no idea where to go to get out of this pain, and I have no answer, right? It's like I couldn't really. I was shutting down and not seeing people. Did it help? No, it didn't. Did it stop the pain? No, it didn't. Right? So it's not like there's no ways that I was able to push it away or shut the door, those things, and I just couldn't respond to any of the things that was happening. But when a shift happened when I start to work with it, with Christine's help, and then she kept giving me tools, do this and do that and do this, right? And first, like, she understood what I was saying, like, oh my God, somebody understand what I'm saying? Did this even make sense, right? And then she was like, yeah, it makes sense, right? And I know what you're talking about.
So what's one thing that you did in order to deal with it?
So the first, I let you drag me into the group to see Christine. So I let you do that. So that's one first step, and then I shared to the person who understood.
Yeah.
Right. Sharing with others probably didn't help as much. Sharing with someone who really understands.
Because there were other people at the event.
Yeah.
Because Christine was running this event to help people grow as their abilities, right? Their own intuitive abilities, helping them grow. And so the others that were there, they weren't as much help, but Christine Marie, she was. Because
I'm saying others means like friends.
Oh, friends. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
They wouldn't. They would listen, and they would what would be have compassion, right? But I wouldn't feel understanding from them so much.
Yeah, because
right?
like I said, how do you relate to that? How do you?
They don't get it.
Yeah.
Right. And I know they don't get it,
Yeah.
and then it's still pain, like, and nobody understands, and then I don't know how to express this feeling, right? But as soon as you find someone who understands, it just something release so fast, right? The tension, and then I was crying like crazy. And it caused
I've never seen anybody who cries so much as her.
But so it just releases. So that's first step, finding someone who understands. It's not easy sometimes, right? But there are someone out there who understands, really understand. They didn't live exactly the way you lived, but similar way, and they can really relate and really understand, right? So it's one of the first step, but you have to face the wound again to share that, right? This is my pain.
Just resisting it, not wanting it, that was not helping you. Nobody else was providing any kind of help. No outside help could come in and rescue
Mhm.
you were left with one option only, right?
Mhm.
And that was to go into it
Mhm.
and to start working with it.
Yeah. So
And
like
what's one other thing that you did to work with it to help you get past the overwhelm?
it's like I don't know. One other thing is uh, maybe it comes up while I'm talking, but one thought or one perspective, I guess, came up, and it's always been that way, but it came clear again. I was reminded is some like a painful a hardship. That's where you can grow. I've been feeling that way all my life, but with this one, I I didn't know how to face it. Really, it just I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like I never had same experience before, so I had no idea to face it. Face it what? Face what? I don't know, right? And but the having the right person, this is how you do it, right? And then first learn uh, learn to protect yourself. You are wide open, so you have to learn to close it.
That's what they say. That's
Yeah,
what Christine Marie
yeah,
said to you.
like
Yeah, you're wide open.
yeah, but I didn't open it. What do you mean wide open? Where am I supposed to
What's
close
wide
it?
open? What to
Yeah,
close?
like I have no idea what part is open and what part I have to close. Like I don't remember opening anything. Now how am I supposed to know what to close? Right? It's like what? And but then just one by one, showing the tools, the exercise I can do. Oh, this is open. So starting to understand what open is, right? So this is open. What's open? Okay. So and then let's try to close, right? But it's not just
Well, you
first
went through an
time.
exercise of actually like even just writing down boundaries.
There's lots of
That was
exercise.
yeah.
There are lots of them that
So you were
we
setting
did.
boundaries for your guides on what you were willing to receive when.
Yeah.
It was one of the exercises I remember you doing.
Yeah. So and that's one of them, and then like a meditative exercise and opening and closing. Like you can do opening chakra and then closing chakra, balancing, right? And those one and lots of them connecting to guides, higher self. I did so many different ones, and
So those things were allowed you to go into the challenge. Is what it so instead of it being something that you were not wanting, you accepted. That's number one, right? And you didn't have another, so because you didn't have another option of a get out of jail free card, right? You couldn't take a pill, right, to fix it, and you didn't know how to deal with it yourself, and you had to do something to deal with it because you simply could not even get off the couch, right? You were done. From the moment you woke up, you were done, right? And so you really didn't have a choice,
right.
and other than to accept it and then to start working with it instead of pushing it away. So that's what we're talking about, going into the wound, because that was extremely painful, was to go into it. It's like, oh, I gotta go into this, or what do you mean? This is so much pain, right? But you did, you had the courage, you dealt with, and you went into it, and you started working with it and saying, okay, I'm going to go through this exercise and do these practices. And eventually, here's one of the things I wanted to touch on is that with this kind of process, when you got wounded, right, because you did not know how to deal with this at all, right? Yeah. It's kind of like you just don't even have the muscle for this, right? You don't even know you have this muscle. And so you've never worked on this muscle to give it any strength. You don't even know where it is in your body, right? But then when you started doing these exercises, you realized at some point, even though it wasn't even clear at first, even though you're starting to do the exercises and you're kind of getting iffy results at first, right? It wasn't clear what was going on. Over time, it did become more and more clear that there was a difference between the way you were doing things and the way you were learning how to do things. There was a difference between those two things. You were living your life in a different way, right? And once you practice starting to live your life in a different way, that's like building a muscle that you didn't know even know that you had, right? So you arrived at that point the day before you opened up. You were Satomi. You were a version of yourself, one version of yourself, right? The only one that you knew up to then. And you would say, that's me, right? But then the very next day you woke up and all that blew open. You were that old you wasn't even going to make it anymore, right? You were just knocked right off your feet.
Yeah, so it's like if you're talking about muscle training,
Yeah.
like one up to that day, I was, hey, I can do this,
Yeah.
right? And
With
all
the
of a
muscles that
sudden,
you knew how to do.
and then next day, boom, like a 200 pounds, this weight on me, and I get crushed.
Yeah.
Right? I can't even get out.
Yeah.
Right? And then and then staying on me, and then use a muscle. What do you mean use a muscle? It's too heavy to use it. I'm crushed, right? And so, and then there's no rest. I felt like there's no rest, and I'm constantly fighting with this weight because it's on me, right? And then just how am I supposed to train with this one? This is too heavy, right? So first, somehow you have to learn to roll that weight, so your weight is off of you, and then you can find a way to rest, right? And then you cannot really lift 200 pounds from the first try. So you gotta take the weight, small ones, and start using the small ones, right? And then add more and more, right?
But you're using a whole different muscle than you ever knew how to use before. You didn't even know it was there.
Yeah.
So you're not just doing adding a little bit something that you did before.
No.
This is a completely different side of you that you didn't even know existed. Didn't even know it was a capability or even how to work with it. But then once you started doing that, at a certain point you realized, oh, there is a difference here. I know what this muscle is, and I can start to use it now, right? There's a really important difference there, and that was a turning point for you, that you were able to then move faster forward, right? Once you were able to become aware of the difference,
and once I
build
start
on it.
using it, right? And it took a while to get used to using that muscle, I guess, and because I have no idea, am I supposed to move this way or this way, or right? It's just I don't feel right. Am I doing it right? Kind of thing. So you try different things, and sometimes you do it short, and sometimes you do it longer, or whatever, different ways, right? And then you start to feel, okay, this is, I think I can feel that I'm doing it, right? I think I kind of start to understand what I'm doing, and then go in and start really using it, and it opens up the huge opportunity and new you, right? That you didn't know you have. That's where that happens because you letting the light in from your wound, right?
So you're observing and you're learning from the experience. You're observing the difference between the way you were doing things, the way you're doing things at that point in the process. You could tell that there was a difference, and then you're able to work with that even faster and better. Yeah, I can totally see how that happened for you.
Yeah, like lots of others, like the counselors, right? I know lots of counselors, they become counselors because they have some, uh, they experience some pain
Yeah.
in the past,
Yeah, sure. It's
wound,
natural.
right? And then they got over it, and then they know they experienced, and they know how painful it is, and they can relate to those clients, and they know how to help clients that going through the same thing that they went through, right? So that's like lots of counselors I know they face their wound, and then they see the light, and this is where I want to go, and I want to become counselor, right? So yeah.
So that helped them find their life journey by going through that painful process, right?
Yeah.
So what you're saying is they discovered an ability that they had that didn't know they had it before they went through the pain, and their life took a whole different direction because they went through that experience, and then they built on it and made it into an ability that they could share with people, right?
Because they faced it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like instead of looking away, no, right? And they wouldn't be able to.
yeah. They'd never be
become-
able to work with it
Yeah.
and overcome it.
Mhm.
If you're just running away from something, you can't ever overcome it, right? That just goes together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and in a similar fashion, I was able to go through that experience I mentioned earlier, where it almost killed me, becoming ill like that, and there were things going on inside me that I didn't even know were there. There was that old pain that I buried. I had no connection to it. I didn't even know, right? I would just go about my normal day thinking everything's fine, and really, you knew that it was there. You could feel it, and you helped me let it go, right? Face it. That doesn't mean I didn't need to relive it, but it wasn't. It was something to go through, right? There was a lot of tears to go through, to let go of all that old experience that I had, that I was carrying around and didn't even know, and stuff just flowed, right? I mean, I would write things down, and I'm just like, oh my God, right? It was a real process. So yeah, you can't have necessarily an easy ride with it, but my other choice was maybe dying, right?
Yeah.
So maybe dying or going through that. I think I'll go through that. As difficult as that is, I'll go through that. So you helped me through that. And by going through that pain, going through that experience, I've been able to develop skills. I know the difference between the person that I was and the person that I am. Like I'm way more relaxed now, right? And I deal with situations in a much more capable or easygoing, or I don't know what the right word is. I don't want to, whatever, something like that. And than I was before, which is, a little bump and right, like I say, just hang on,
But you didn't know that that was hurting you, right? This
No,
way.
I didn't know because I was just natural.
This
I do it all day long.
have to be this way,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
To protect yourself.
yeah,
But actually, it was hurting you.
yeah.
And
Because I was protecting myself all the time.
Mhm.
All the time, my shield was up all the time, ready for something to go wrong. And that because I was always in protection mode. I was never able to get into healing and growth mode, right? And that what ran my body down. Created the health problems, and until I was able to work with that and let it go, and so that's the thing, is listening to it, right? And that's what you taught me to do, was to listen to the message that was in there. And that's what Rumi is saying, is that's where the light comes in. So what is the light? It's the message that comes with that pain. And
it's something that you can learn.
yeah, and
right?
so that's what we have for a tip. Is that this is such a universal thing. Everybody is going through pain. Everybody is suffering, right? Almost, I don't know who isn't suffering at all, but maybe somebody. But um, that it's not it doesn't help to treat it the way we normally do in North American society, which is just, oh, I've got this problem, I've got problems, right? I can't stand this person, I can't stand my job, I can't stand what's going on around me in the world, I can't stand when people act this way, I don't like this part about myself, I want to push all those things away. That's our normal response, right? And those things are like wounds when they happen to us, right? And so instead of pushing it away, think of one positive lesson that you can learn from that situation, whatever it is, whatever you're facing. You know, somebody's kind of in your face, right? Not being very nice to you, right? Your heart goes out to you. I've been there. But what is it that you can learn? Is it about better boundaries, right? Is that what you can learn from it, or is it something else? Maybe it is about you know, facing the situation and ending up, you know, moving on and embracing the unknown, right? Maybe that's the thing to learn from it. You know, there's people don't want to let go of relationships, right? And even if they're not healthy. Yeah, all those things. You might be stuck in like negative emotions like anger, sadness, anxiety, resentment, etc. You might think you can't trust people, or maybe you think you need to sterilize everything and in case you get, you know, some sort of bug that you catch, right? Or you might just think that life just sucks, right? Or whatever the thing is. But if you put effort into it, you can come up with something that's positive, something that requires something from you in the situation. If you're coming up with a solution that requires something of the other person, that's not the solution. That's just not it. That's the normal thing, is that if that person just stopped doing things or just did it this way, then it wouldn't bother me, right? That's not going to help. This is what life brings us, is a message for us, right? And that's why we're in that situation, so that we can pick up something from it. So it could be a shift in perspective. You know, it might be that you're learning to live in the moment, right? Or just not to hang on to the past, right? It could be those sorts of things. Or it might be about forgiveness. You know, that was a big one for me, right? It was just forgiving. Or there's so many things that it could be, right?
Yeah.
So many things that life could be trying to let us grow from. So many messages, so many different ways to develop ourselves, right? And then the thing to do is to own that thing, right? Once you get a message that says, you know, maybe you can learn this, right? Then it's a matter of deciding to own it, right?
Yeah.
And then really lean into it, right? Because that thing, the learning, that developing that muscle, it doesn't just happen, right? You have to, there's all that workout that has to happen to really make it a new habit in your life that you go to, instead of the old habit, which is just pushing things away, right? To start working with it and start developing and making yourself into something more than you were, of course, takes work. You got to lean into it.
Yeah. And always, like, once you face it and start working with it, always new you will come out, the better you, more powerful you, right? And it's a growing stage, and everything is a lesson, right? And then we get growing pain. That pain is for growing, right? The suffering actually is showing and telling us that you can grow, right? And it's not happening to just beat you up, right? It's actually happening for us to grow, right? So if we know that, and then we can just we can keep going, right? Instead of giving up and just life sucks,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that doesn't mean that we're saying that, it, you can go out and seek the pain,
Yeah,
right?
no,
That's not the idea.
no.
It'll happen. Life
Mhm.
happens, right? So don't worry about it. It'll find you.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a matter of not pushing it away when it happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what the message. Yeah, today's message,
Mhm.
Rumi's message, right?
Mhm.
The one is where the light enters you,
Mhm.
and really, really true. And yeah, if we know um, that it's true, and we can survive
Mhm.
anything.
We can survive anything.
Yeah.
We can overcome. And more than survive it, we can thrive
Mm-hmm.
because we can become something more than we were.
Mm-hmm. Something that we didn't know that we could become.
Yeah.
Right.
And then share
Mhm.
that with others, right?
Mm-hmm.
Share it with the world.
That's real, authentic, powerful self
Mhm.
can come out. That's the light.
Mhm.
That's the wound, and then light coming through. That's the path for you to become more authentic, powerful self
Mhm.
every time, right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. So yeah.
I haven't actually really thought about this too much, but the question came up as you were talking about it. Like, we were saying the question is, how do you know what the message is, right? In that situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of wondering if we can give something to the audience about knowing what it is. We talked about a little bit about what knowing what it isn't. It isn't a lesson for the other person.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what you have in mind.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm gonna teach him the lesson.
yeah, if you're thinking it's your opportunity to teach somebody something, you're missing it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So how, like, and so obviously it would be something for us. We would know it that way, that it's something for us that we can learn. It's something positive. Those are two important things. So if it's not a negative thing, not like if you the message is like, never trust people, right? If that's the message you're hearing, that's not it either, because that's a negative lesson, and that's not the one that life has in store for you in that situation.
Yeah, and that's not the light is
Yeah.
telling us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can definitely map those out, but then when a positive one comes through, how do you know if that's the one? Does it really matter, I wonder? Because if you're getting a positive message and you start working with it, you're going to grow in some way, right? Maybe it doesn't matter if you've got the one, right? Maybe there's
sometimes you don't get clear message, right? Like I didn't know what the message was. The only thing was just do it, and then you'll find out, kind of thing, right? Okay, right?
Just do it.
It's not like you do this and then you be like this. No, I didn't have that clear message.
I don't know if anybody gets that one.
But
Right?
so
Maybe.
if that's what you are looking for,
Yeah.
then no, I'm not getting the message. Maybe you're not getting the message because there's more like the potential is so huge, and then first step is facing the one and then seeing the light, right? And then after that you got out of the light and then the light shining on you, and there's so many other opportunities, right? It's not just one, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So right, and you can choose this way, right? And then that's up to you. But the first thing is just really face it and do it, and yeah, that's, and then you do feel like not negative, right? And a positive, in a way, like a feeling of love, even if it's painful. There's some love and trust in there, right?
Mhm.
And then if you can feel that love and trust in the message, yes, that's it. Maybe
That's a good
very
way.
very tiny compared to the pain that you're feeling, but you want to kind of zoom in and focus and trust yourself, right?
Yeah, I think for me, even when I was very much in my head at one point in my life, and not and trying to kind of push away the intuitive side, I would say, when I was in that space, or just didn't trust, right? I would get, um, I would still get something saying that there is maybe that there was something I could learn from that situation, and I would kind of treat it like, yeah, maybe, right? Um, I'll I'll keep I'll keep that in mind. I'm not going to throw that out. And so I kind of kept it going on the back burner in a lot of situations. And maybe it's not the ideal way to deal with it, but it made it so that by the time I guess more time went by, or maybe a round of that lesson, I was able to finally be ready and embrace it, right, and take it on. But yeah, it was kind of a nagging, like, there's this, and I never. It's not like it had like bright lights around it, but it was there. And it was something I couldn't shake. Like, honestly, I couldn't say, nah, it's not that, and be comfortable with that, right? And it was still there. And maybe that's a good indicator too. If it's something that stays, like, that could be a thing. It still could be a real thing that you can learn. Like, maybe, like, just to give it a name, like, maybe it could be just like being patient, right? Being more patient with people, for example, or being more compassionate with people, or you know, not not telling people what to do all the time. Kind of those kind of things are like personal growth things, or even like just beating yourself up, right? Then maybe it's not about how directed to other people necessarily, it's how you treat yourself that also really matters, right? So yeah, any of those things were there, and I would kind of keep them in the background and work them in the background while I dealt with the life circumstance in a practical way at the same time, right? So there's, I guess, different ways of dealing with it. I don't know if that's ideal, but I did learn it in the end. So yeah, I think that's one other way to determine.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then, yeah, if you keep ignoring it, lots of times it gets louder. The message gets louder,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And louder and louder, and then you try ignore more and more. But if you do that, you get more pain, right? So if the message is getting louder, maybe it's time to listen, right? Face it. There's a whole new waiting for you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So if you have any questions about this, send those our way. And don't forget to come back next week and watch the next episode of Aether next Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern. And we'll be happy to join you then. And we'll have another great subject for you to consider. And always, as always, send us any comments, and we're happy to work with those. And until then, we'll see you soon.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye bye.